Hi everyone, my name is Lisa. I am 44 years of age and I currently have COVID. I wanted to share my experience with you because I don't really feel at the moment that there is a lot of people documenting how they feel and how COVID has made them feel. I am double vaccinated. And I'm currently on about day 3 of testing positive for COVID-19. My symptoms started, like I said, around 3 days ago, which started with a swollen gland to the one side of my throat. Thought I was going to go down with a cold because often that's how colds start, your glands swelling up. Next was feeling really congested, but yet I can breathe. It's kind of all in and behind around my nose, but yet I can breathe out of my nose. It's just a real heavy congested feeling. And next came what is probably the worst symptom, and that is the constant banging headache. My head just feels so congested, and it doesn't seem to matter how many times I take paracetamol. It doesn't seem to get rid of it. It's that constant kind of heavy, just a depressive kind of headache that is always there and just doesn't seem to go. I've got a symptom that I didn't actually even know was a symptom, and that is rashes. It wasn't until I filled out the online form for the NHS, and it asks all of your symptoms, and it actually said on there rash, which I'd never even known was a symptom of COVID. So I have mild rashes on my wrists and my arms. I don't know if that's gonna pick up on camera. You can kind of see the bumps. And the worst place I've got my rash is on my face. My face is quite swollen compared to how it normally is. I've got a lot of redness too, as you can see, my forehead, underneath all of my cheeks, my nose, around my nose, all on my top lip and all on my chin. It feels like sandpaper. It's really rough to the touch, and it's itchy. I feel like I've got ants crawling all over my skin. It feels sore, and obviously where I'm talking it gets really dry all around my lips. And then yesterday I did start to get really tiny pinprick blisters on my chin and around my nose and sort of just here. I have been given some hydrocortisone cream from the GP. I'm not really sure it's making that much of a difference, but that has kept me awake at night. I've woken up with the severe itching, the soreness, my skin feels really tight. Please excuse the state of me. Obviously I'm not going to put any makeup on for this video or try and make myself look better. I have COVID, and I want to give you a true picture of what it's like to have COVID-19. I've now, which I think that was 2 days ago, 2 days ago, I first of all lost my sense of smell, which is really weird. I kind of grab candles and sniff them and I cannot smell anything at all. And then after that, which was the day afterwards, I then lost my sense of taste, which again is a very strange one. So for instance, brushing my teeth, I can feel inside my mouth that something is cold, that as in it's cold, minty cold, but I can't taste anything. My toothpaste is a really strong one, and I cannot taste anything. I just feel the coldness inside of my mouth. I am still drinking my favourite, which is cups of tea. It doesn't really taste like a cup of tea, it just feels warm, which is kind of quite nice and quite comforting. But there isn't really, I couldn't tell you a specific taste of something. I certainly couldn't smell anything. A lot of people say that they've lost their appetite. I wish mine had. Not that, you know, I would wish that upon anyone, but mine hasn't really. I still feel hungry. And the fact that I can't taste anything or smell anything hasn't really put me off. I just still feel hungry. The banging headaches are pretty crap because you take paracetamol and they don't do anything, so it's constantly there, constant kind of like heaviness in your head. It just feels like a really severe head cold. Obviously you can tell by my voice that I kind of, and my nose, I sound congested. Going up and down stairs and things, I do get quite breathless. Energy-wise, again, like kind of any illness, I don't feel like I've got loads of energy. I feel just exhausted. And cough-wise, very, very, very odd cough. Here and there, nowhere near consistent. Whether that's just to do with when I exert myself, I don't know. But that is supposedly the most classic common symptom, and the high temperature. I've had none of those. Obviously the odd cough, but no high temperature. Sometimes I do feel a little bit warm, but not actually a temperature. And so far, COVID isn't really what I imagined it to be. I think so much is put on the fact that you should have a cough and a high temperature. And it's not really the case. I actually work in a school. From the moment COVID has come about, I felt very, very vulnerable. I'm in a primary school and I work with year 2 students, UK, which anywhere else around the world is 6 and 7 year olds. We're on half-term break at the moment, which obviously I spent half of my half-term ill. I'm now obviously in 10 days isolation. Going into work every day, I feel constantly vulnerable. There's children with coughs, sneezes. Obviously they're 6 and 7. They don't put their hand over their mouths. They aren't the most hygienic. That's not their fault, it's their age. But it just seems madness that the government guidelines are that unless you have a persistent cough and a high temperature, you can't send any of those children home. So day in, day out, we're working with these children who potentially are showing no symptoms whatsoever. Classic example, a couple of weeks before half term, we had a little boy that was due to have an operation. He showed no symptoms whatsoever. If anything, he had a very, very mild cold. He went to go and have his pre-op COVID test. He was actually in school and we got a phone call saying that his pre-op testing had come back as positive, which we were really shocked at because, again, you'd never ever say that he had COVID. And obviously he was sent home. I actually know who I have COVID-19 from. It's a work colleague, someone who I work with very closely. Herself and her family caught COVID. Her daughters were first, who are teenagers, who obviously at the time weren't vaccinated, because I think they're only just kind of moving on to teenagers now. It's just crazy. It just spreads so quickly. And I have asked and offered to have antibody testing after this, because I would like to know if I've built up any antibodies. It's just crap. You know, it's quite scary that I'm not really sure how the way out to all of this is, because, you know, I'm double vaccinated. I have no regrets of being double vaccinated, because it really, really, really worries me of how I would actually be feeling right now if I wasn't double vaccinated. I mean, I'd say I feel pretty shit. Pretty shit. And I'm just so grateful that I've had my vaccine, and that, you know, I shouldn't be hospitalised from COVID-19. If I wasn't vaccinated, honestly, I'd probably be crapping my pants right now, scared to death that I would end up in hospital. And I think, you know, originally when the vaccine came out, I think a lot of us, not that, you know, we were misled, I'm not saying that at all, but I think a lot of us in our own heads thought that the vaccine was, you know, the way out, the way forward from this, to start leading a normal life again, whatever that is. I think so many of us have forgotten what life without COVID was. But obviously I'm double vaccinated. I've got COVID. I feel like crap. I don't know. I don't really know where this ever comes to an end. I wanted to share my story with you, you know, just to make people completely aware that you don't have to have the constant cough. You don't have to have a temperature to have COVID. And call it gut instinct, I don't know, but when my symptoms first started, and yes, I'd been in contact with somebody, which was just over a week before my symptoms started. Genuinely, before that, I thought, you know, I'd got away with it, that I hadn't caught it off that person. And then when my first symptoms started, which probably not the first symptom actually, that was the swollen gland and then the congestion. I can't explain it, but it was like this gut instinct, and I kind of knew that I had COVID. And obviously I've not had it before, so it's not like I could, you know, compare it to something. It wasn't the classic kind of symptoms that people rave on about, so it wasn't anything to do with that. It was just this real strange gut feeling. And the lady that I work with, when she did her COVID lateral flow test at work with me, hers came up as the faintest line, and that was probably after about 30 minutes of taking the test. It was the faintest line, but her daughters had actually come up the same as that as well. So she kind of knew that she had COVID. And that's another thing, any test that I've taken of the lateral flow before, I've taken it, it showed up negative, and I've kind of binned it. And I know it says to leave it that 30 minutes, but I kind of thought, well, you know, the strip that comes up showing that the test is effective, I always thought, well, if that's come up, then surely the COVID one would come up straight away. And obviously, for the person that I work with and her family, that wasn't the case. It took a good 20 to 30 minutes to produce a very, very, very faint line. And I mean really faint. Now, when I took mine, straight away it came up with the darkest lines, and I just knew, even, you know, booked in for my PCR the next day, I kind of already knew myself that, you know, I had COVID. As for my family, I have 2 children living at home. One is double vaccinated. My other daughter is only 12. No, actually, sorry, just turned 13. She hasn't had any vaccines yet. And my husband is double vaccinated, but also classed as being, well, was classed as vulnerable. That's changed now. They have done, so my husband's done 3 lateral flows and my daughter's done 2, and I think my son's done 1, still coming back as negative, not even a faint line, but they are both booked in for a PCR today, because I know that PCR can show up a lot quicker than a lateral flow, and obviously if you wait those, you know, up to 10 days for any symptoms to actually show, then your incubation period could end up going on for weeks and weeks through the family, because obviously you leave it so late to do a PCR. So yeah, they're booked in today, and hopefully we'll get the results tomorrow. Mine came back within, it was around 24 hours, but I know it varies quite a lot, and I'm presuming that also depends on how many people are testing. But yeah, I wanted to give you an honest review, if you want to call it, you know, an honest kind of diary of what it's like to have COVID. I don't know if I've already said, but it's currently the 30th of October 2021. If you would like an update of how I'm feeling again in a few days, and also my family's PCR results, please write a comment below, and I could possibly do another video. Please like this video to show me that it's something that you've been interested in, and if you'd like to hit the subscribe button, that would be absolutely great. Turn on the notification bell so you know when I've posted another one. But yeah, I wanted to give you, you know, true insight of what it's like to have COVID at 44 and also being double vaccinated. Hopefully anyone watching this doesn't have to go through this, or if you are going through this at the moment, or you think you might be, then this might help you. But take care, everybody, and I'll see you guys soon.